Happy birthday, Taurus. Hope you guys are having an awesome month so far in May and that things are going great for you in your season, whether you are a Taurus sun or a Taurus moon or a Taurus rising. I hope that this video finds you doing super well. My name is Kayleigh Jean. If you're new here, I do these readings for creative people, artists, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is working on their personal growth, self-expression, or spirituality in a new form. So if those areas of life are intriguing to you, I encourage you to go ahead and keep listening. Let's get into your reading. So this is a really powerful time for you. When the sun is in your sign, there is typically a lot of energy at your disposal. You may be feeling quite refreshed right now. You could be feeling as though you're sort of coming out of, a potentially difficult period when the sun was in your 12th house. We've also had the quarantine and everything that's been going on. And I do feel like there's going to be a lot of changes coming up this month. So as I was tuning in meditation for you, Taurus, I kept being given this visual of someone standing with one foot on either side, almost of like a seesaw, and they're kind of standing and the plank underneath them is sort of balanced over a fulcrum. And I feel like this is a very symbolic image, and I think that what it represents for you and what it may sort of be pointing out is that this month you could be feeling like you're sort of standing on the fulcrum between two different realities. Even just as I said that, I kind of got an image of a black and white checkerboard, almost as though it would be for a chessboard, or even the black and white flooring, like black and white checkers. So I think that there's something about like two different options or two different modes of being, two different ways of going through life. And I think that there are some important choices that you're making. And I do feel that this is a good time to kind of put on your thinking cap and really be strategic about what you eventually end up doing. I also feel like balance is going to be really important for you this month. And whatever that looks like for you, I want to stress that I think it's easy to hear the word balance or think about this concept of kind of balancing maybe work-life balance and so on. It's really easy to hear words like that and conjure up a lifestyle or an image of a lifestyle that seems kind of elementally balanced in every way. But I want to stress that for you, balance is going to look different at any given point. So you could be feeling like for you, balance this month is actually just taking it easy, being a little bit more slow about how you do things because you're thinking things through. On the other hand, balance could be making spur-of-the-moment spontaneous decisions. It could mean taking charge. It could mean, working longer hours. So it really just depends on what you feel, Taurus. It really depends on what you feel is going to be the best way for you to run your energy. And I think that that's going to look different throughout the month. And it's also going to look different from maybe what your normal expectations are of yourself. So whatever that looks like, I just want you to trust your own rhythm here, because you're going to accomplish a lot. Like you are going to accomplish so much over the next few months. And I think that this is a time to really, I want to say almost kind of sink your teeth into this process and really feel your way through it. I don't think that this is a time to brush over details or to kind of take shortcuts necessarily. I think this is a time to really be strategic, really think about what you're doing, but then proceed at whatever rate of productivity makes the most sense for you. So if you need to take a break this month, definitely give yourself permission to do that. But also if you feel like you want to, hit the gas a little bit, don't be talked out of that either. Just trust yourself right now. So let's take a look at some more information and we'll get some more brass tacks advice for you. Taurus. Okay. And we're also going to get some insight from your Animal Spirit Oracle cards. Spirits, come forward and share with us the most loving, accurate, and helpful information for Taurus. Okay, and we're also going to get a Bob Ross message from the Bob Ross Oracle deck. There will be a link below to this deck. I absolutely love it. Just has such a bright spirit. So we've got golden egg as the path and deer as the influence. Well, the first thing that comes to me, Taurus, is that if I was going to pick a single word to kind of sum up what kind of month this is for you, it would be that this is a gestational month. So what do I mean by that? You've conceived something already. I think that you are not necessarily in the very beginning of a journey. I think that you are at a point where you know what the concept is, whether this is a creative project or a business idea or a way to adapt your lifestyle to the changing flow of current events that we're all experiencing on this planet. Or it could even be physical fertility or even a new way of physically taking care of yourself that you've sort of mapped out. But the image that I'm being given is almost of like a seed when I look at these cards. It's like with the golden egg, an egg, or if we're going to take a seed, contains the mapping, it contains the design of the creature that it's going to become. So when you germinate a seed or when, a bird incubates an egg, it's like some kind of an implicit design, an implicit biological design is being activated, and it's being given the conditions under which it can begin to unfold. Almost like I'm seeing like one of those books that when you open it, it's like an origami book and the whole scene kind of unfolds as you open the book. It's kind of like that. So when you have this gestational energy, because the deer card is a mothering energy, whether you're a male or a female Taurus, you're going to be embodying this, like, I want to say activation of growth, which is what kind of the archetypal mother figure represents in our psyche, because the mother of any species kind of nourishes the young and creates the conditions under which the young may thrive and grow and become, adults and mature. So there's something here about you really like conceiving of something that has its own implicit structure within it. And it's a very exciting time. This is very much in alignment with your energy as a sign. Taurus is a season that has so much to do with fertility and with, working with the soil and the garden, becoming more active in Taurus season and things being generative. There's like a generative quality to the sign of Taurus. And so I think that this is really where you get to express your creativity in a big way. I think that you're going to basically have a green thumb this month. And I think that you're going to be creating really authentically and from your heart as well. So whatever this is, whether it's, adapting something in your current career situation to allow for something even better to grow out of the compost of the current and recent events, on our planet, like all of the uncertainty basically around, the pandemic and everything. There's something about this that's saying like it's a breath of fresh air. It is a breath of new life. And I think that it's very generative. It's very creative. It's almost like the replication or the evolution or the unfolding of something that you have within you, and the conditions are actually right for it, which is so weird, you know, because there's so many struggles right now. There are so many really difficult things going on for people, but the conditions are right. I mean, it's similar to in a horary chart, for example, with astrology. You can ask a question about anything to the cosmos, and even if there's a lot of crazy, difficult astrology going on at the moment, you can still get a very positive, happy yes reading from that if there's a really gorgeous, trine that the moon is applying to Venus, like a trine of Venus or something like that. Like, you can get these really like interesting and intricate and beautiful energies coming even when there's chaos and even when there is this really like challenging atmosphere. So that's what we're seeing. Let's take a look at your tarot cards. Wow, so we've got Two of Cups with the Ten of Wands, the Seven of Swords, Justice card. Remember, I was talking about balance. Three of Swords with the Ten of Cups, Ten of Swords, and the Three of Cups. Interesting. So you've got this like repeating pattern of Cups energy with a Swords card and Cups energy with something difficult. So this is a first pattern that I'm picking up in this reading, and to me it really seems to suggest that in May there are a lot of really good things happening for you. There's a lot of really beautiful connections developing. You are able to connect with people perhaps in a different way. And you're able to make connections with individuals that can help you move forward in the future. So there is that theme of being able to attract the right connections, even though, it may be across, international lines, so to speak, or, it could be over Zoom or the internet, but there's still this sense of connecting with the right people. However, you also do have these potentially stormy cards in conjunction with these like happy cards. So it's kind of one of those months where something really beautiful is unfolding, but at the same time, you've got to kind of work with or harmonize some of the aspects of your life that are hitting out of tune with this new energy that's developing, right? Like, so it's not going to necessarily be about cutting out things that don't serve you anymore. That can be part of it, but I also think this is about harmonizing and blending and making like synthesis out of things that don't naturally want to harmonize right away. So how could that potentially look in a practical sense? Well, here we have the Two of Cups, which is a relationship card. Then we have the Ten of Wands. So you could be working through some kind of Herculean effort when it comes to a relationship. You might be also recognizing that a relationship has become a burden, or that you've been taking on too much of a burden within a particular relationship. And there's a sense of really needing to, on some level, or a desire to sort of buck the heaviness of a particular relationship in your life. And you can do this in a number of ways. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean you're just gonna like break up with that person or quit your business partnership that you have with them, or whatever. It could also just be that you need to renegotiate things with the Ten of Swords or Ten of Wands. You could be feeling like you're carrying more than your fair share of the weight in the relationship. And so there could be some conversations that can be had about that, and that's not a bad thing. But the first week of May, there is something here about like unburdening yourself. Another way we could look at this is that you are in the relationship here, and the relationship is a safe place for you to express yourself. So maybe this is about talking to someone, even like a therapist or a life coach or something like that. This can represent a healing union or a healing connection between two minds, right? So you could meet with someone or have a phone conversation with someone where you're really able to sort some things out that have been causing you to feel a little bit more confused or not being able to see the forest through the trees kind of thing. But overall, I do see that as helpful. Now, the Seven of Swords and the Justice card are also coming up, and right kind of in the split between these cards, we're going to have that Scorpio full moon, which is the full moon during your season. It's in your 7th house. So again, that hints at relationships, right? And Justice is again about balance. So Justice with the 7 of Swords, and we have that full moon in your 7th. This is really potentially bringing to the surface areas of imbalance when it comes to relationships. Again, we're getting that theme echoed in multiple ways. My readings don't tend to be entirely focused on romance, but because these themes are coming up, it could definitely be related to a romantic relationship in your life. But it could just as easily be, you know, a partnership that you have with a business associate, or even the relationship that you have with your fellowship or your audience or your client base. You know, it could be just this, it could be time to make some adjustments and give yourself a little bit more like room to breathe with the 7 of Swords. Like if this is you, Taurus, I think that you want to get a little bit away from the expectations or the demands of like the group in here. Like the group is in the background. So you should be able to do that, because many of us are able to do that in certain ways right now. But I think that this is representing like an evolution of that. So be willing to think outside the box in order to balance out inequalities or imbalances in your relationships in the first half of the month. That's what I'm going to say about that. Now, the 3 of Swords and the 10 of Cups, with the 10 of Swords and the 3 of Cups, there's a definite echo here because we've got a 10 and a 10, and we've got a 3 and a 3. So we can't really look at these necessarily like as 2 separate bundles. I think we kind of have to read all of them as a whole. The 3 is the number of the Empress card in the Major Arcana. And I do think that this is a very Empressy draw when you have the golden egg with the deer, right? It's like I was talking about, it's the cosmic mother energy or the maternal energy that sort of creates the conditions under which new life can grow. So you have this like Empressy energy and this theme with these 2 3s. But then we also have the 10, which is a completion point, which also means that it's a new beginning. Because at the 10, we revolve, we go around, the wheel of fortune turns, right, at the number 10. So what I'm getting is that with the 3 of Swords and the 10 of Cups, and the 10 of Swords and the 3 of Cups, there is possibly some kind of an ending in relation to either a role that you have in your professional life, or it's a persona that you have, or it could be that the way that you have related to a particular group of people is going through like a significant shift. Sometimes when I see the 10 of Swords, I almost think of it as an ego death, right? And an ego death is a period of time where we have these concepts of ourselves and we start to see those concepts of ourselves disintegrating. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. I think that a lot of times we tend to experience it with some level of anxiety because we're obviously feeling, you know, the dissolution of the personality on some level is an uncomfortable thing. But if you're willing to kind of experience that and be present with it, I think that what you uncover is a much deeper part of yourself, a much more powerful connection that you do have to like an intelligence that's greater than the intelligence of your ego self. So I'm not saying that this is like, you know, one of those things where all of a sudden, you know, your entire personality is like changed and you're just like this enlightened being. That can happen, I guess. But what I more feel from this is that almost like walls that you've put up around yourself or even around yourself in connection with like a particular group of people, which is the 10 of Cups, those walls are coming down, but then at the same time, you're developing like a closer way of connecting. So with let's contrast the 10 of Cups and the 3 of Cups. Here we have the people they're like zoomed in on, and they're all close together. Here we have two people that are close together, but they're kind of far away from the viewer. And we have these two like children to the side, and they're playing with each other, but they're not necessarily all linked, but here they're intertwining. So it's kind of hard to put into words what I'm feeling with this, but what I see is that there could be some kind of like a breaking off within a certain social context for you, because you have the 3 of Swords and the 10 of Cups. The breaking off of a less intimate connection that you have with a particular social group or with a particular social setting, like that's not going to reabsorb, like it's not going to reform again. And so there is that sense of maybe loss of that with the 10 of Swords, but what's coming in at the end of the month is the 3 of Cups. So the 3 of Cups is a smaller group, but it's a tighter group. And it's more personal because they're facing each other. They're all facing each other, and they're closer to the viewer. So what I feel is that, just to recap, between the 3rd and 4th week of May, and for some of you this could be happening now, or these are just general readings, so the energy can be mixed up a little bit, but it's almost like the way that things were done in a more official manner within a group in your life, could be career related or whatever, maybe family. That group isn't necessarily going to take the same shape again, but it's almost like 3 of you or a smaller group of you separate off from that, and you are saying goodbye to that, but then you have each other, and it's something that feels more like cozy, or more like you're like, I was actually really like the closest with you guys anyway. Like that's kind of the feeling I get. It's like, yeah, you and I, like me and this like smaller group, we were like always really, we were always allies. And so I think that this is like, you kind of moving forward with a smaller group that's more tight knit. And this could be, something that evolves over, the next several months, I think, looking at these cards. But I do feel that this is the condensing of a group that you're going to feel better about than the one that you had in the past. You might have liked the one in the past too, but I think the one that's taking shape is just a little bit more like you're all kind of close and connected, and it just feels a little bit more warm. So your Bob Ross card is, it says, you have to have dark in order to show light, just like in life. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense with this whole reading, because you have these happy cards, and then you have like stuff that has to get sorted out kind of cards, right? Or you have a happy coming together card, with a letting go of the past card. So things are forming in an exciting way for you, but you're also not going to necessarily see, like, even some of the things that you liked from the past, you're not going to necessarily see those taking that same shape again. But I think that you ultimately know that this is better, and this is like in your best interest as well. So you have to have dark in order to show light. You have to have endings in order to appreciate new beginnings. And it reminds me of that 90s song, I think it's called Closing Time, where like at the very end of the song, I think it says something like, every new beginning is some old beginning's end, or something like that. Every new beginning is some other beginning's end. So I just got chills when I said that. I don't know. I just think this is like it's a really good time for you. I think it's a really good time for you. It's just, you're feeling the cycle of life. You're feeling the pacing of life is changing and you're feeling the cycles of that, you're feeling the rhythm of that. So I just want you to, again, as I'm closing this reading, trust that rhythm for yourself, Taurus. Don't feel like you have to, always be pushing forward ahead at full speed. And don't feel like you need to hold yourself back too much either. I think that this is really going to be a time for you to kind of take a moment with yourself and feel into your body about what is the next step for you, and just really getting in touch with that, knowing full well that life is long. There's going to be a lot of opportunities. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be a lot of adventures and little side tracks that you're going to go on. There's going to be all kinds of new experiences. And so I think it's time to really settle into that knowledge and that wisdom and that awareness that doesn't always have to be this, steep up and up and up and up. Sometimes being in touch with the seasons and the rhythms, the repeating rhythms and patterns that are obvious to all of us in the world, on a natural level, but also that you have seasons within yourself. And just feel into whatever that looks like for you right now. And I think that you're going to be doing really well. So sending you tons of love, Taurus. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this reading has given you something useful to think about as you go through the month of May. I will put the information for the moon mapping class, which I'm super excited about. It's a personal astronomy class. It goes into homeopathy and astrological self-care, lunar self-care. So I will put that information below. It is starting very soon, so check that out. Thank you so much also for being here on my channel, just in general. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a little globe emoji below, or just write Earth if you don't have emojis. I love getting those, and they are so, so helpful for my channel, and it always just makes my day when I get those. So definitely leave me a comment if you enjoyed the reading. Let me know your thoughts, and I'm sending you tons of love. Take care of yourselves. Happy birthday, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye, Taurus.